Welcome to the regular council meeting for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026 at 4:50 p.m. in council chambers at 3 Kirkland Street West and via electronic participation. Call to order in a moment of silence at 4:50. Thank you. And before we proceed, I just want to acknowledge that this evening is our CAO's last evening serving with us at the council table. It has been such a pleasure and an honor to serve our community with you. And we do sincerely wish you the best as you move on from our community. You came to us when we needed stability, and your leadership and style and your cooperation to move this community forward has certainly brought good things to Kirkland Lake. So thank you very much for your time that you spent here with us, and please a round of applause for our CA.
Thank you, Matthew.
Absolutely. Item number 2, land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on traditional and unceded territory of Indigenous peoples. We recognize the presence of these Indigenous people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship and care of these lands. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. Item number 3, approval of the agenda. Councillor Owens with an S and Councillor Owen without an S, please.
Be resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting council held on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026 be approved as amended as follows: to add item 10.3, bylaw number 2634, being a bylaw to establish and apply payment of various fees and charges for the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake at the public meeting of May 20th, 2026. And to renumber item 18.1, being the bylaw confirming proceeding read as bylaw number 2635.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 4, declaration of pecuniary interest. Councillor Owen.
Yes, so your worship, I have one conflict of interest. I, Rick Owen, am declaring a deemed conflict of interest on the agenda of the meeting dated June 2nd, 2026. Open meeting, agenda number 9.4, agenda title, search for a new soccer field. It is deemed the matter may affect my parent, my spouse, or my child. The nature of my interest is as follows. My wife, Charlene Owen, is a volunteer executive member of the Kirkland Lake Soccer Association. Signed, Rick Owen.
Thank you. Item number 5, civic petitions. There are none this evening. Item number 6, delegations and presentations, moved by Councillor Dolly Dyken, seconded by Lad Shala.
Be resolved that delegation entitled Integrity Commissioner 2025-2026 annual report is received for information purposes.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to welcome David Bogshanan. Sorry if I have pronounced that incorrectly. He is our Integrity Commissioner for 2025-2026 annual report. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Mayor and members of council. I don't know if any of you remember the Maytag repairman commercials where the Maytag repairman would lament how lonely he is because Maytag appliances never break down. And I kind of feel like the Maytag repairman being your integrity commissioner because it's a very quiet job. There hasn't been any complaints to investigate during this term, this last year. There's only been 3 requests for advice, and there was a training session back last October. Obviously, you've heeded all the advice that I conveyed, so I appreciate how ethically open and transparent and law abiding everyone on council is. So congratulations on a very clean year.
Thank you very much, sir. Any questions or comments for our IC? Nothing further. Thank you very much. We do appreciate your couple of minutes and we
Yes.
definitely appreciate the training that you provided and hopefully moving forward for the last few months that we share as council, we can continue the tradition of not being an issue.
All right.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
very much. Okay.
All
Bye-bye.
in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 7,
Thanks.
approval and acceptance of minutes. Council minutes moved by Councillor Lad Shava, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens.
Be resolved that council approve the minutes of the following meetings: minutes of the public meeting held on May 20th, 2026, and minutes of the regular meeting of council held May 20th, 2026.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Local and regional board minutes moved by Councillor Rick Owen and seconded by Councillor Pat Kylie.
Be resolved that council receive the minutes of the following meetings: minutes of the District of Timiskaming Social Services Administration Board of Directors held March 18th, 2026 and April 22nd, 2026.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 8, reports from municipal officers and staff. 8.1, traffic and control signage on Government Road, overhead directional signs, moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Dolly Duckins.
Be it resolved that report number 2026 PW05 entitled Traffic Control Signage on Government Road, overhead directional signs be received for information.
Thank you. And tonight we will welcome Director of Public Works, Stefan Forte. You may proceed, sir.
Well, good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council members. This report responds to council's direction from August 2025 to review the feasibility of installing overhead directional lane signage at 7 signalized intersections along Government Road. Public Works completed a detailed review, including field inspections, evaluation of intersection geometry, and consideration of MTO requirements for connecting links. Our main focus was to try and replicate a specific setup on a few local intersections in Timiskaming Shores, where the directional signs are hung on steel cables spanning across the intersection just above the white painted stop blocks. Based on this review, we did discover a few things that's worth mentioning. Installing overhead directional signage at individual intersection just above the stop blocks is not quite feasible under current conditions. There are 3 primary reasons. First, infrastructure limitations. 6 of the 7 intersections have traffic signal poles that are over 40 years old. These poles were not designed to support any additional load, especially sideways loads, and installing this type of signage would more than likely require full replacement of these poles. Second, geometry and operational constraints. Government Road, and I'll use the intersection of Alwendi and Government Road, is a very wide arterial corridor, and we do have several intersections that are just not well suited for cable supported overhead signage systems. This raises several safety concerns. Third, and most importantly, regulatory requirements. As an MTO connecting link, all traffic control measures must meet strict provincial standards. Through our review and ongoing design work, it was confirmed that this type of overhead signage installation does not align with MTO requirements and cannot be implemented in a compliant manner on any MTO highway. We did look at an alternative, which is advanced directional signage placed before the intersections. This option is compliant and achievable, and in fact, 2 of our intersections already have this in place. This is the Prospect Avenue intersection and the Duncan intersection. However, this approach would result in incremental improvements only and would not address the broader issue of aging infrastructure across the entire corridor. What this review did highlight is a larger opportunity. Rather than addressing signage intersection by intersection, the town would be better positioned to pursue a corridor-wide improvement project along Government Road. Through future MTO Connecting Link funding programs, which can fund up to 90% of all eligible costs, we potentially could replace aging traffic signal infrastructure such as poles, improve overall traffic safety at all the intersections, and implement modern compliant directional signage as part of a corridor coordinated design. This approach would not only address the original concern raised by council, but also tackle the underlying infrastructure issues in a more strategic and cost-effective way. At this time, there's no financial implications, as no immediate changes are being recommended. The report is provided to council for information and to support future consideration of a corridor-wide project when funding opportunities do arise. Thank you, and I'll happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Shava?
Yeah, to you, your worship. Interestingly enough, I was discussing something similar to that with someone else in a very different municipality, but corridor widening, that is. But ours here, we're very tight to everything. I mean, you got sidewalk, you don't have much of a boulevard. Like in Corcoran or somewhere, you have boulevard to play with, but we don't have much to work with here. You know, like let's take an intersection of Prospect and Government Road with TD Bank. How much more can you widen that? I don't know. Is that? I'm all for it if it's doable, but I don't know. How do you see that happening? How much more room can we have when we go further to encroach on the sidewalk? What's your take on it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think I'm gonna have to ask for a clarification. I'm not suggesting to widen the corridor.
Oh, I see.
I'm saying that we should maybe tackle this safety issue
All right.
corridor wide, the entire.
Oh, yeah, okay. I think you
That's
said
what I meant.
corridor. Okay. I got you.
Sorry for the
Thank you.
confusion.
All right.
Councillor Owens?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I think it may be time to do a review of that corridor, because right now, if you're going from, let's say, Independent back to this side of town at this time of day, you're stuck in traffic. There's a lot of traffic, people leaving work, and on top of the numerous transport trucks that grace our downtown core, supposedly 2 trucks an hour, but if you do the math and you sit there for longer than an hour, or you're going anywhere, there's a lot more trucks than was in certain statements. So it may be time to review how we handle traffic alignments of lanes and whatever. But in the meantime, if I remember the conversation correctly, when this was brought up to us, it was specifically, and Councillor Owen can correct me on this one, the main issue, and I've seen it as well, is the issue of Kirkland Street and Government Road when you're westbound. If you're not from here, and even if you are from here, sometimes you just don't think or whatever, you don't know which lane to go on, and that intersection is confusing. So because it is compliant, could we not amend the motion where we say just for this time to help with, because there is more traffic on the road, and to limit this confusion, and if we do go down the road of redoing the intersections, can we not buy a pole like we have at these 2 intersections, but not that style, the new stainless steel, galvanized steel ones, and put an advance warning that is compliant with ministry guidelines, just to help alleviate that issue in the meantime, so that we can alleviate some of the issues on Government Road? Would that be an option?
Through Madam Mayor, council can absolutely make these calls if we wish to modify. You use one specific intersection.
That specific intersection, just westbound.
Just westbound. Again, council could absolutely authorize that work, and just to put into perspective, we made an estimate on how much each one of these poles and bases would potentially cost.
Mhm.
Each one of these poles and bases can range anywhere between 10 and 16,000. So that's why, like, if we were going to do 5 intersections, for example, that creeps up very fast. That's almost $150,000 expense, and for such a large project, we would need to get a designer involved.
Okay.
But for one intersection, if council is very specific on that one and putting up one or two poles, depending on which direction, then it would probably be well, like I said, one pole is likely $15,000.
Okay,
Follow up?
yeah, through you again, my mayor. So, and is that something our staff could handle within this construction period? This year?
We can definitely try. There's a lot of projects on the go, a lot of poles to still put up, a lot of crosswalks that we're concentrating on. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying that we would do our very best to fit it in if that's what council wishes.
Councillor Dykens?
To you, Madam Mayor, to the director. Just remind me of that intersection, doesn't it? It kind of starts out as two and then there's just one lane, like once you go towards the gas station, is that right? I think that's where the issue, like when I'm at that light, even if you're in the left lane, there's somebody in the right and there's nowhere for both of you to go. I don't know if it's the signal or I guess it just.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Dykens, it's something that we would have to take a look at, especially on the line painting. I would like to, because the line painting is so gone, and we are going to be putting that back in this year, but because they're so gone, you can't even really tell what was there before. So we're gonna have to go back into some historical photos and some historical drawings and try to find, was there through lane and a turn lane on that intersection, or is it purely just through lane?
Okay.
But that's where we can definitely clarify that through some line painting, and of course, if we want to put in some additional signage, it would definitely help clear that up, that's for sure.
Councillor Owen?
Yes, your worship. It's funny, but safety of this community has been a big issue for me, even though that's not something that I ran on either time. First, I want to say that I'm disappointed at how long it's taken this report to get back to council. I remember when I made my original presentation, I wanted to report back so that if there was need to add money to the budget, which would have been this year's budget, it would have been added. And I was assured at that time that that would not be the case. Now we're getting told that is the case. We're gonna have to add money to the budget. Now, the biggest complaint that I receive in terms of numbers is traffic flow on Government Road. And by that, I mean people not knowing what lane they're supposed to be in. It is definitely a safety issue. It's a frustration issue. And now with the mine up and running, which is a very good thing for us, there's much more commercial vehicles on that street. This is a safety issue that cannot be put off, in my opinion. Now, Kirkland Street is one, Main Street is another one. When you're going eastbound, where the lane goes off the Main Street, and if you go straight, you go into the secondhand store almost. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen people in the wrong lane there. And there's a great deal of confusion. You know, cars are getting cut off because these people, or they're having to stop because now they're up against a parked car. Those are two of the, I would consider the worst intersections. To my memory, all those utility poles were put in at the same time. Some of them can hold signs, and now we're being told that we're not sure other ones can, which kind of boggles my mind because they're the same construction and the same materials, they're the same weather. And then there was a comment made that it would be incremental improvements. Well, incremental improvements is better than no improvements. Any improvement to safety is better than no improvement to safety. And so I would urge that even though my original vision may not be doable at this time, and Stefan has explained why, that we go ahead with what we can right now, to make this community a more pleasant place to drive through, we want to attract tourists. We don't want to fight with each other. We want to make it safer. So I think to go ahead with what we can do now would be a big step forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Shabba, then Counselor Owens.
To your worship, question for the director. I think you're talking about Kirkland Street, right? And you did say, the price of a pole would be about $15,000. Is that including the labor? I mean, we can do it in-house, we buy the pole for 15,000 and then labor on top of that, right? We're gonna get that. If we have to go that way to do that one.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, $15,000 is,
An estimate then.
it's definitely an estimate. Yeah, we're comparing prices with the other projects where we receive for the Duncan intersection, where we have prices for putting in a concrete base, for example. I'm gonna give a rough number, but just the concrete base for a pole is $8,000.
Follow up, please.
Follow up.
Yes, through you, is that, you said it's doable, is it something that's doable within this budget year, or will have to be the next budget year?
To, Madam Mayor and council would have to vote for, the council would have to vote for money. Like, you know what I mean, like for additional funds, and this is not something that we could do within the existing operating budget.
I get that, I just wanna know if I know staff usually tap into reserve in case of something emergency to take care of issues, that's what
Okay. So for clarification on that, I'm gonna actually ask the treasurer to come to the table. Stefan is definitely an expert, but
Yeah.
we'll allow the treasurer to speak on what needs to come from where. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Mayor to Councilor Chanel and the other councilors. We don't have any particular reserve that's pointed to this. I would like to point out though, the gas tax and the OSIF funding are infrastructure funds. And it's very likely that any money we spend, we could draw from those particular funds. They're not particularly limited, other than to say it's infrastructure.
Thank you for that, sir. Counselor Owens.
I'd like to put a motion forward to have a simple galvanized steel post with overreach arm, however you want to formulate it, to help with traffic issues at the corner of Kirkland and Governor Road on the westbound north side of the intersection.
In the northeast corner. Correct, northeast.
Northeast corner, if you're westbound, so just at least because we've identified that's the main one, so we've got the power to do it. This is our table, let's move the motion forward. I put the motion forward.
Okay, so do you have a seconder?
Sure.
Okay, Counselor Owen will second. So we're just gonna take a brief pause, so that Madam Clerk, we can get the wording. Or do you have point of orders on this, folks?
Yes,
Okay, Counselor Owen.
well, I would like to make an amendment before we go any further.
So this is
So
why
is-
we need
So do I
a
need
brief reset that
now,
we
or
can
do
get the
we do
wording.
that after?
Yeah, so we need the wording. So that's why we're gonna take a brief recess. We'll get the wording down and then we'll reconvene. Thank you. Now we're gonna reconvene, with the wording by the deputy clerk.
All right. So, it resolves that a modern pole be installed at Kirkland Street and Government Road on the northeast leg of the intersection, displaying advanced directional signage. And finally, that the project be funded from the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund funding up to $18,000.
Counselor Owens, are you happy with that wording? Counselor Owen as seconder, are you happy with that
I'm
wording?
delighted.
So, questions or comments about this specific amendment on the floor or motion on the floor? Counselor Dykens.
Just timing, like, what I mean, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. Are we looking this year, next year, just?
Thank you for that question.
Through Madam Mayor, we'll do, once we source the polls, we're gonna endeavor to get her done this year.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we will now vote, barring any more comments or questions from council on the amendment. Okay, So we're gonna vote on that motion as per deputy clerk. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Okay, so going back to the original report for information, anything further regarding that report? Counselor Owen?
If I'm in order, I would like to put forward a motion that we apply for connecting and funding to complete the intersection lane improvements needed on government road.
Order.
Councillor Shamma?
That should be noticed for motion. It's a different motion.
Instead of amending?
No,
We
well,
can
that's why,
amend.
So motion
Yeah.
has totally different from.
well,
Yeah.
that's
We can
why I
amend,
asked.
yeah, we can amend the motion again, we can have another amendment.
Okay.
As per, yeah, I know he used the word notice of motion, but yes, definitely it can be an amendment.
You know what, your worship? I want to get this motion passed tonight.
Mhm.
So I will bring forward a notice of motion and bring what I just suggested at a future meeting. And this way, everything can be kosher.
Oh, yeah, okay, so we'll put that at towards the end.
Yeah, thank you.
Drawing this amended.
Yeah, and we're withdrawing the amendment. So that's item number 11, Rick.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, anything further on the report as presented? I just, for my part, before letting you go, I do see the strategic vision. I do think, having it go through, possibly connecting link funding, will make an application quite strong because it is in the health and safety of the community. And I think it's a larger project, so I definitely can see the vision of rather than piecemealing every intersection as we go, which kind of sometimes happens because we don't know until members of the community let us know that they are an issue. But I do see the overall strategic vision of that report, so I definitely appreciate you thinking further than just the issue at hand. So thank you for that. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried for information. Thank you. Item number 8.2, proposed social media policy, new corporate policy, moved by Councillor Ladd Chavez, seconded by Councillor Pat Kiley.
Be it resolved that report number 2026 CAO 12 entitled Proposed Social Media Policy, New Corporate Policy be received, and that council approve the proposed social media policy as presented, and finally that the proposed social media policy be numbered and inserted into the corporate policy manual.
Thank you. Welcome, CAO Smith. You may proceed.
To Madam Mayor, members of the council. As we all are aware, over the years, digital communication has become increasingly important. Social media plays a huge role in our personal and work lives. Corporate communications for the town of Kirkland Lake depends on social media. However, the town does not have a social media policy. The lack of such a policy creates risk. Consequently, administration has developed a proposed comprehensive social media policy that establishes clear standards for corporate and personal use of social media, outlines roles and responsibilities, and ensures compliance with applicable legislation. The policy establishes expectations for all employees, volunteers, members of council, and boards, committee appointees when using social media in any capacity connected to the town. The policy outlines how official town social media accounts are administered, monitored, and governed. The policy provides clear criteria for removing inappropriate content and blocking users when necessary, ensuring respectful and safe online engagement. The policy clarifies the expectation for employees and officials when using personal social media accounts, including prohibition on posting during work hours, restrictions on disclosing confidential information, and requirements to avoid harmful, defamatory, or discriminatory content. Overall, this policy establishes clear expectations for corporate and personal social media use, ensures compliance with applicable legislation, and confirms that monitoring and moderation practices are conducted lawfully, proportionally, and transparently. It should be stressed that employees and members of council will receive training on this policy within the next 30 days. It's worth mentioning that those staff identified as social media moderators will receive enhanced training. And I will welcome any questions. Council.
Questions or comments? Councillor Owens?
Thank you for the, through my mayor, thanks for the, it's a good policy for the most part. There's two issues I have with it, and one I may let go for now. But the one issue that jumps out at me is the application of this rule on members of council. We are regulated by our code of conduct. We are also regulated by the Municipal Act. I think it adds an unnecessary layer of redundancy when you follow your code of conduct. Oh, you have to go this way for another one. It shouldn't be up to a quote words that were said earlier, an HR department to discipline a council member when they don't have that authority to do so. It should be through the IC, and if there's a problem with what I post on my personal Facebook page, it should be dealt through the IC, not through a staff member.
Councillor Shava?
Yeah, through you, and worship, when I read these two, initially, that's the concern that I had, because I know we don't do that in these communities, but in the bigger communities, a lot of the councillors, they do communicate with their constituents on issues that is very important to them. I know the mayor communicates frequently to people. Again, if I have any issue with that, with anybody's Facebook posting while they're doing their job, that's why we go to that integrity commission, and that's the only recourse that we have here. Not the HR, someone made to the office and say, well, how dare you do that? What's going on? So I just think it's a little bit of a stretch for us too far to be telling us or curtail our duties when we actually have a way in which we can discipline each other. Thank you.
Councillor Dykens?
To you, Madam Mayor, I agree with both Councillor Owens and Shava. I think it's out of order, that it should just be for the administration and not for council, because we have our own bodies that checks and balances, so to speak.
Sorry, CAO Smith?
Well, I was going to address the question.
Yeah, the
No,
same
they-
issues,
yeah,
yeah. Do you have a separate issue?
Yeah, sort of separate, yes, so.
Okay, so,
Go ahead,
yeah.
CAO, please.
Okay, a few members of the council. When we put this policy together, we looked at a variety of examples from municipalities. And it was wide ranging, and some municipalities include their council in their social media policies, some don't. And point is well taken, and the inclusion of council and board members can be removed. So this proposed policy can be amended to reflect it. And again, there's a wide variety out there of depends on the community, and but point well taken, and that can be amended.
Councillor Owen?
Okay, I'm good. Through you, your worship, I'm gonna take this in a little bit of a different direction unless.
I've acknowledged you.
Okay, first off, I was a communicator, journalist for 35 years in this town. I was first a print journalist. I was a photojournalist. I was a multimedia investigative journalist. So I'm quite familiar with the rules and regulations concerning the internet, even though I am very rarely on it. I'm quite familiar with the rules concerning copyright. I find this policy very redundant with all the laws that are already in place. I do not find it necessary. There are already laws concerning everything that's in this policy. We already have approximately 1,600 policies. Do we really need another policy when it's already covered in law? And so I will not be supporting this proposed policy. Thank you.
Councillor Dykens?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I don't know if, Councillor Owens or Shabel would like to do this, but I'd like to, offer an amendment of this, that we remove, members of council and whatever. I know, Councillor Owens is going further, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have it in one document, because people get all over the place to find things, but I definitely believe that council is separate from this. So if somebody else wants to move it, they can.
Just a point of clarification,
Councillor Owens,
do we,
clarification?
yeah, could we just not modify the original amendment just to, and going back to it?
It would
And
be a
that,
friendly amendment to add.
okay,
Yeah. So Councillor Dykens has put it forward to
I'll second
move.
it.
Okay, Councillor Owens will move. Okay.
It's just clarification.
Yeah.
That would also include, board members, correct?
Yeah, so we're gonna read the friendly amendment.
So be it resolved that report number 2026 CAO 12 entitled Proposed Social Media Policy, New Corporate Policy be received, and that the proposed social media policy be approved as amended to remove the inclusion of council and board members, and finally that the proposed social media policy as amended be numbered and inserted into the policy manual.
Thank you. Any questions or comments regarding the amendment? Councillor Dykens?
You, Madam Mayor, just so we don't get into trouble, we had committee attendees do, like, so board,
Words and committees?
yeah, like, cause, like,
Yeah.
yeah, just,
Yeah, that's excellent. Just any further comments or questions on the amendment? Before we vote, I just want to, as the member that has the longest standing active social media, I was very active in first term and second term. I was actually looking forward to a policy. I come from a healthcare background, which your policies protect you when you follow your policies, and that's why we have policies. So actually, when we went over the agenda last week, I was like, great, I'm gonna have a policy to follow. But I do agree with members of council that state it doesn't speak to the realities of how council is held accountable. It also made note of hours of work. And I would be hard pressed to define what hours of work are for a member of council. So definitely, even though I agree with the policy, it has strong wording. I do think it really does apply. It just doesn't have enough wording to make it relevant to our positions. So that's the only reason that I was concerned with it. But removing it, I actually, as a member of council that has an active social media presence, I would actually like to see something specific to council members come back. That's my personal opinion. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Shabbat.
Yeah, your worship, I think, through you, I think if anyone finds value in this policy and they wanted to adopt it as an individual member of council to be their guide as they, I guess, trek along the social media, that's fine with me. I mean, they want to have that as guardrails for them. I'm fine with that. But as to have it collectively applied to us as if we are an internal member of the corporation, that's something that I'm really not too comfortable with, so.
Yes, and sorry, so I was not debating whether we should or should not, because it doesn't speak to our realities.
Yeah.
You've both addressed it very well, all three of you. We need to rely on the IC for our complaints, for disciplinary recommendations, etc. But I was just saying that I know that policies protect you when you follow them. So personally, I was looking forward to the wording. And yes, I will be adopting the wording just on an ethical basis. So thank you for that. If nothing further, we are voting on the friendly amendment as written. So it's the whole rather than pieces. So Madam Deputy Clerk, could you read the whole again, please?
Be resolved that report number 2026 CAO 12 entitled Proposed Social Media Policy, New Corporate Policy be received, and that the proposed social media policy be approved as amended to remove the inclusion of council, committee and board members. And finally, that the proposed social media policy as amended be numbered and inserted into the corporate policy manual.
All in favor? Opposed? Item is carried. Thank you, sir. Item number 8.3, supplemental request to purchase part 14 Station Road South, moved by Councillor Lad Shava, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens.
Be it resolved that report number 2026 DEB 14 entitled supplemental request to purchase part of 14 Station Road South be received, and that council enact a deeming bylaw pursuant to section 54 of the Planning Act so as to deem lots 102 and 103 registered plan M124T as not being registered lots within a plan of subdivision. And that council authorize the deeming bylaw be given 2 readings on June 2nd, 2026. And that council approve the sale of part 2 of plan 54R6503 to Kevin and Beth Prima for $4,000. And that council authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to execute the offer to purchase and all appropriate sale documents as may be required. And finally, that council authorize the bylaw of the sale of property be given 3 readings on June 2nd, 2026.
Thank you. And we will be welcoming Planning Administrator Jennifer Naughton. Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to council. This supplemental report is being brought forward to formalize the offer, the sale for part of 14 Station Road South. We reviewed this on April 1st, 2025, and council agreed to sell this property for $4,000. As part of this, we did review the proposed the applicant's proposal for the property at 12 Station Road. And they did go through with a zoning bylaw amendment to permit their dwelling to be converted to a residential high density. As part of this, they were looking at adding some additional land. The vacant land adjacent to it will be used as part of their property. This property was declared a surplus on February 16th, 1999. The property in question is an irregular shaped lot and doesn't meet the minimum requirements for lot frontage under our R1 zone. So it makes sense to sell a portion of this property to the adjacent property owner. The appraisal was not required for this due to the size and condition of the property, as it would not be practical to obtain the appraisal as it's not a suitable building lot. Our circulations were conducted for this property. And there was nothing identified for water or sanitary connections. As the applicant is proposing to merge this with their existing lot, a deeming bylaw is required. So we're requesting that this be completed prior to the final transaction to make everything clean on title. And just our notice of intent to dispose the land will be circulated in the Timiskaming Speaker effective June 3rd. Supplemental notices will also be posted through a radio broadcast and on website.
Thank you. Any? Okay. Okay, thank you. So we're just gonna note that there was an incorrect reading of the last sentence. Madam Deputy Clerk.
Sorry, the bylaw is not coming tonight. That is the deeming bylaw. The sale bylaw will come in an upcoming meeting.
Thank you for that. Any questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Shava.
Yep, to you, your worship, you said in the media, that you're gonna put this on, another news, they're online too, I think. Are you gonna put that, you're gonna put this on?
Through Madam Mayor, our decision to post in the newspaper was for a print paper.
Okay,
We can look at that if that is something that we feel that we should be doing. Our policy states that we have to post it in a newspaper though.
so follow up, please.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people get to listen to speakers in Kirkland Lake, so I'm just, I get it, because I have my office over there. So
Yes.
just to let you know, I mean,
Okay.
unless they have circulation, where they have their papers here, but
Yeah, it can be purchased at stores.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, anything further for members of council? I do appreciate that, because there has been also members of the community that have expressed concerns that we do not have local print media anymore, but the existence of Northern News still, they still exist. But it is something that council, will have to address in our, notice bylaw, like that wording will have to be changed. It's not something that, members of staff can just arbitrarily, choose on their own. So that's definitely a good point, and it will have to come back to council at some point. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Thank you. Item number 9, members' motions. Item number 9.1 and 9.2. Item number 9.1 has been withdrawn for the time being, and 9.2 has been deferred to a future, yes, sir?
Through your worship,
Yes, sir?
I'm withdrawing that completely.
You're withdrawing it?
As
Okay.
of now, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the note. Item 9.3, Councillor PC Owens established Tuesdays as days for council, and your seconder is Councillor Lad Shaba this evening. Thank you. Would you like the motion read in its entirety before you begin to speak?
Me too, but
Okay.
council wants it.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
Historically, council meetings have been held on Tuesdays in our town of Kirkland Lake. And in looking at how other municipalities do it, even though, like, I know we're told it works for Kirkland Lake or not, but there's a common practice that you keep your council dates on the same day whenever possible, and it's confusing. I've set up my schedule with the way that Tuesdays is the meeting, not Wednesdays, not Thursdays, so I think it's fair to just bring it back to what it was, Tuesdays, and moving forward.
As seconder, Councillor Shaba, you may speak next.
I agree.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Kylie?
Yeah, just a comment, I agree with, Councillor, because what happened, we changed it to Wednesday. I had a DSAT meeting, which I was chairing, and I couldn't attend the council meeting, so, it makes sense. Tuesday, we know it's Tuesday, we show up Tuesday.
Thank you. Councillor Owen?
Yes, through your worship, 2 things. I'm also on DSAT, and I felt it put me into a very unfair position. I mean, now, in this particular case, in to make sure that everybody knows, I was away out of town on a medical appointment. But had I not been, I would have had to choose between attending council or attending an agency that takes a very big chunk out of our budget. And I don't think any councillor should be put in that position. Also, if I'm allowed, I would like to propose a friendly amendment to this motion at this time.
Okay.
And the amendment is as follows. At the start of a new council term, returning council members get to choose their seat. Get to choose the seat they will sit in. Newly elected councillors will decide on where they will sit at the council table. And that is to do with the operating of the meeting, which is what we're talking about.
Okay.
The wording can be sharpened up by our clerk.
So are we adding that wording then rather than approving some of that?
I'm just trying to get to this
Yeah, well, that's fine. You can modify it.
Can I just,
Costa.
because it's not in the procedure.
Actually, you're right, it's not.
So that is not, okay.
Yeah, you said.
So
So I can allow a separate motion, can I?
you know, I don't know if we should edit.
We're gonna take a brief recess until we can work out this amendment.
are you?
Okay, we will now rise from the recess. Due to the inability, of quickly locating whether it is a matter of procedure or not, it has been agreed upon, or Counselor Owen, would you be amendable to removing that from an amendment to a notice of motion?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. We do appreciate it. Okay, so that being stated, we're going back to the motion as originally noted. Counselor Dykens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a little bit of background. I think the reason we changed, the request was to change it from a Tuesday after a long weekend was to give residents and us time to, because staff wouldn't be around. So that was part of it. The other was, when 3 or 4, whether the CAO and the mayor and others were away at, the conferences 3 or 4 times a year, that we change it to the next Tuesday. It was never intended to be Wednesday or Thursday of that week. That was the intent, that it'd be the next week. So it gives an opportunity for everybody to participate in the best way possible. If you want to go back to Tuesday, that's fine, but that's why we moved it. It was never meant to be on Wednesday, because it caused conflicts for yourself as well. So that I just wanted to happen.
Anything further from members of council on that? Counselor Owens?
Just a clarification to the question the clerk asked. Yeah, so the intent is to Tuesdays, regardless of conferences or the rest of the schedule can be worked out and there's electronic participation. There's other means. So for now, just we're moving it back to Tuesdays.
I'll
leave
just
it
add
at Tuesdays.
2.10 as well, because I wrote just editing 2.9, but I'll add 2.10 if that's all right with.
I believe so. Just before I say yes, I want to get back to it. Go. Yeah,
Did you want me to just read how I have it, just to make?
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so the deputy clerk will read the motion.
Right, I'll read the whole.
Yeah.
So whereas section 238(2) of the Province of Ontario Municipal Act 2001 provides that every municipality shall pass a procedure bylaw governing the calling, place, and proceedings of meetings. And whereas council has authority under its procedure bylaw to establish the dates and regular meeting schedule for council meetings. And whereas procedure bylaw 2562, 2.9. And 2.10 provide that the clerk shall schedule the regular meeting to Wednesday rather than Tuesday after a corporate observed statutory holiday, or Thursday during a conference. And whereas Tuesday meetings have historically provided consistency and accessibility for members of council, staff, residents, and community stakeholders. And whereas reestablishing Tuesday as the regular council meeting day is expected to improve scheduling coordination and public participation. Now therefore be resolved that council direct administration to amend procedure bylaw 2562 to remove sections 2.9 and 2.10 to reestablish Tuesday as the regular meeting day after a corporate observed or statutory holiday or during a conference. Administration provide the draft amended bylaw for first and second readings on June 16th, 2026 agenda. Administration provide the draft amended bylaw for third reading on the July 7th, 2026 agenda, and administration be directed to amend the 2026 council meeting schedule upon passage of the amended procedure bylaw and notify the public through the website, social media, municipal update, and daily radio broadcast ads.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? All in favor? Opposed? Item is carried. Item number 9.4, Councillor Lad Shava search for a new soccer field. It is seconded by Councillor Dolly Dyken. Would you like the motion read before you speak?
Yes, please.
Okay. Deputy.
Okay. Whereas the use of Queen Elizabeth field is no longer available to the Kirkland Lake Soccer Association, KLSA, for soccer games. And whereas the KLSA's player enrollment is growing and therefore needs an additional field to accommodate the growth. And whereas the search for a new open land / space to develop as a regulation size soccer field will be in the interest of all parties, the community and the children who play soccer. Now therefore be it resolved that council directs administration to work with the Kirkland Lake Soccer Association to find vacant land / space for a new regulation size soccer field. And finally, that administration report back to council within a year from this date, the results of the.
Councillor Shanna, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you very much, Your Worship, and I have a few things here to very quickly go through, Your Worship, and this motion to me is about win-win outcome for everyone in our community. I was around when we had this Adams Mine garbage thing, and I tell you one thing, it split the community into many parts. And I really don't like this to be one of them. I think we have to come together. And if it is the time to come together, it's this time because the community is moving forward. I'd like to thank all the delegations last time. I mean, I'd like to see them again, come up and talk about other issues. I congratulated them for having the tenacity and the courage to come up and speak to us about something that's very passionate to them. Brief history of soccer, I can tell you, I've been there to look for soccer field when we started with our team. It's not me alone, it's our team. And my team couldn't have done what the soccer association has achieved up to today without the support of the Parks and Rec department back then. I was there with Ross Venturechek driving around to look for soccer field, and we finally found the old swimming pool where the Stan Johnston is now. I know it's not an easy task to find a soccer field. And I'd like to take this opportunity too to thank everybody that put a lot of time into Queenie and all the other soccer fields in our community. Aaron Pachowski, late Aaron Pachowski, Betty Ann LaBarge, and all the countless members of community that help build those soccer fields, including Queenie. We need to move forward. We need to build trust and relationship with all the members of our community. And I urge the Kirkland Soccer Association too, if this motion is passed, to work with Parks and Rec Committee. And again, I'm going to state that everything that my team achieved when I was running that soccer association could not be possible without the help of all the various directors of Parks and Rec that we had over my time as being the Kirkland Lake Soccer Association president. So this new field to me will, if found, shall accommodate their needs going forward. And I hope that people around this table here could support that, because to the best of my knowledge, when Mark Roy was here, he did say something, said, I'm not here to fight against the daycare. And he wasn't, because the daycare is a development for the town, and we asked these guys to give us new bills and push them for development, then we see one. And a new soccer field too, we did find one, would be a development for the town as well. That's why I call this, if this motion is passed, it will be a win-win outcome for all the parties and for all of us too. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Councillor Dykens, as seconder on this motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to pick up a few things that Councillor Shala said. We are a growing community, and the soccer association is growing. Right now, they don't have a regulation size soccer field for their team. And I think it's important that we show support and work with them to find a suitable place within the year.
Thank you for that. Anything further from members of council? Councillor Kiley?
Yeah, with all due respect, lad, I support the motion, but I would like to have seen an amount put in, because the soccer association put up a building. They did a lot of work on that property to get it into shape. The 20,000 that we're getting from the Queen Elizabeth sale is a minor amount compared to what the soccer associations actually put in. I would like to to see a commitment from council that, we're just saying we're finding them a field. That's not good enough for me. We find them a field, but whether we, not just the 20,000, whether it be in kind or, cash, that be increased to 50,000. When you look at, fencing, the building that they put up and whatnot, we could easily run into a heck of a lot more than 20,000, so I think we're selling them short. And I rather would see that something amended in this motion so that there's no doubt the next council that probably will have to deal with this. That there's no cutting of corners and they get what they deserve.
Counselor Owens?
I'm gonna go in a completely different direction on this one, through you, Madam Mayor, sorry. I'm having a hard time with this whole mending bridges and whatever, when staff and council were attacked. We were attacked, and there was exaggerations and lies that were said towards us and towards our staff, and for some, yeah. And when I look at the schedule, so if you look at the online schedule, the information's there, and the great thing about social media is unless you go delete it, it stays there forever, ever, and it can come back and bite you in your rear end. And I look at the schedule they have this year. Soccer fields are sit empty more often than they're used in their schedule. So there's, oh, I should have kept it on. Okay, so if I look at a Monday, there's a potential of 12 time slots between the soccer fields we have. They use 4. Tuesday, 12 again, they use 6. Wednesdays, 5. And Thursdays, they use 6. So those fields sit empty longer than being used. Now, I know the soccer field feels no, I'm not gonna go there. If we want to move forward, I think the money should be used. Let's reconfigure what we have for fields. That's what was presented to us when this first got presented. And we've got 3 fields. There's a way. I went to Rouen a few weeks ago and I stopped in, and I purposely, well, for 2 reasons, but purposely, I looked at the soccer field they have there, the way they have them set up. It's, you have a big field going this way, 2 fields on either, so you can split your field in half and use 2 fields at the same time. I think there's potential to revamp, modernize, make the soccer fields the best they've ever been within what we've got, instead of having to find a huge chunk of land within this municipality, which we all know there isn't a great deal of land available to be able to develop a huge soccer field on. So no, I don't feel that they haven't proven to me that there is a need right now for another soccer field. We can work within what we have.
Thank you for that. Before I allow another member to speak a second time, I do want to chime in because I know there's been much made about improvements on the land, and I just want to make council aware that we are in other lease agreements with other community-driven organizations on other lands, and they've put in also hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years in improvements on those lands. Unfortunately, it is a reality that if the municipality ever required those lands for future development, it is well within their right to use those lands as the council of the day sees fit, regardless of any improvements that was made on those lease lands. And I do appreciate deeply that members of the public came to speak. And I spoke with Mr. Roy personally about the issue, but it is very, very important that we are aware as council, we are leaseholders for other agencies within the community. And they should be well aware as well that those lands are still owned by the municipality, and if they are needed for a different use, they will be called upon. A question to Councillor Shava and Councillor Dykens. Are you proposing that this land be sold directly to the soccer association so that future councils are never put in this situation again? Or are you suggesting that another lease be sought?
Okay, I cannot speak for Kirkland Lake Soccer Association. And again, when I started this motion, I was not going to look backwards, the rearview mirror. Whatever has been said by everybody on social media, what I'd like to push that aside. And how do we move our community forward? Either you like it or not. We got kids that are playing soccer, the same kids their parents might be taking them to the daycare. So we need both of them. So to answer your question, personally, seeing what has happened now, because I was one of the authors of that lease with the town at that time. I don't know if the language has changed. In retrospect, maybe they will have purchased the property right out. But then again, if soccer association is the default, like they did before my time, then land goes back to the town anyways. So that was our rationale. So I don't want to speak for Kirkland Lake Soccer Association, but personally, going forward, if we can find a piece of property and they're in the position to purchase it and they ask me for my advice, I'll tell them to buy it outright. That way the town won't have to bother them. Now, just to let you guys know, that association, I mean, we have enough to do with running the town. We don't want to run Kirkland Lake Soccer Association. How they do with their association, how they choose to modernize it or to grow it and all of that, that should be really up to them. Our job is to support every member, every groups that are in our community. We raise them up. I was in a pickup truck driving around Kirkland Lake with the director of Parks and Rec many years ago looking for a place for soccer because he was just as excited as me because he wants to see activities. Yes, we do have our 8 to 4 p.m. job, but hey, where is the open space for the kids to play? You know, again, this is a simple ask. In my view, we've done that before. We've worked with Parks and Rec before. They've had all, not even soccer association, baseball too. They're 1 and 2. That's why we had the copy from them have the shack. I was kind of wondering too. I'm the only one that named a building after that's still alive. Maybe they're giving me a hint or something. But we did all of that with the support of Parks and Rec. With the town said, hey, whatever is good for the town, we're behind you. We're not going to second guess you. So, and I see a lot of second guessing here. That why can't they do with what they've got? That's their temporary property which they develop in good faith. Yes, the town wants it back. That's fine. But let's make amends and say, well, we'll find you a different location and see if you grow. If you don't grow, that property still goes to the town anyways, right? We can do something else with it. Maybe community garden center like we did over at Civic 3. So I don't, you know, I'm not really here to speak for Kirkland Lake Soccer Association. I'm speaking as a councillor elected by the people of Kirkland Lake. And to me, this group, like any other group, they ever come here in future, they deserve our support. And this motion is a way forward to grant that support.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shava. I do appreciate. I didn't realize that your connection to the soccer club was so deep. So thank you very much for speaking so eloquently and so passionately on their behalf. I hadn't realized that you had such a deep connection. So thank you for speaking from experience. Councillor Kylie?
Yes.
Sorry, Councillor Dykens.
Oh,
I do note that you're sorry.
go ahead.
Nope, Councillor Kylie, I did acknowledge you. Yeah.
Through you, your worship, I would support this recommendation that Lav has put forth and Dolly. However, I do feel we're shortchanging the group. That $20,000 is peanuts to what it would cost them to
reset up the field. So that's my point.
Thank you for that. Councillor Dykens?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just want to reiterate what Councillor Shava has said. The Soccer Association is masters of their own destiny. They have their own dreams. We're not here to compensate or whatever. We just want to show support to, if they're looking for a place to have another field. That's all. We're not committed to buying a field, or we're not committed to giving them money for at this. Well, maybe not at any point. The only intent, I believe, from Councillor Shava at this point is, like he said, years ago, Parks and Rec drove around with the Soccer Association and said, these are the available things. That's all that we're asking tonight.
Thank you for that. Anything further from members of council? All in favor? Opposed? This item is carried. Can we please get Councillor Owen back in the room? And at this time, I'm going to ask Acting Mayor Dolly Dykens to take the chair. Sorry, yeah. Basically. Thank you, ma'am.
They were considering 9.5 Mayor Stacy White nomination to AMO Board of Directors, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Do you want to?
Be it resolved that the Council for the Corporation of the Town of Kirkland Lake nominate Stacy White Mayor for the position of Director on Northern Caucus on the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO Board of Directors for the 2026 to 2028 term. And finally, that council endorses expenses related to travel for the June directors meeting be included in the yearly budget from 2027 to 2030 required.
Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's good.
Mayor,
Thank you, through you, Acting Mayor Dykens. So if any member, wishes to become a director or nominate themselves for the position of director at AMO, they do have to be supported by their council. So, as per the motion, it is a 2-year term. And the expenses, the wording is very odd, and I actually had sent it to both the municipal clerk and the CAO because the wording was off. So if the expenses are required, it would be for the June meetings, but I'll just read you what it says, because maybe if we put all of our heads together, we'll make sense out of it. Expenses to participate in the AMO Board of Directors are not typically covered by AMO. Each board member's home municipality should be prepared to cover the cost of travel and any needed accommodations. Next paragraph. AMO will reimburse travel expenses in excess of $300 per meeting for AMO Board of Directors, AMO Executive Committee meetings, and MOU meetings. Travel expenses refer to committee meetings held prior to or following the AMO annual conference. Board members are expected to make the most efficient and cost-effective travel arrangements. So possibly there may be some cost to added cost to the municipality if I happen to be successful in being elected, or quite possibly not, from what those 2 paragraphs state, unless I'm wrong. So definitely there would be obvious advantages to the town of Kirkland Lake to having one of its members sit as a board of director at AMO. AMO, of course, moves policy and has direct communications with the province, regardless of the political party of the day. They work hand in hand. So to have our municipality at those tables would be a feather in the cap of our community. So I'm just seeking today your support to allow me to run for the position of North Eastern Caucus.
thank you, Mayor White. Seconder, Councillor Owens.
Nothing to add, I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Any
But I support.
Yeah. Any questions? Counselor Kylie?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this one because, in all due respect, it's a good thing that you're putting your name forward, I agree. But, how much do we get out of AMO? Other than we get all these emails, 2 or 3 a week. And it's like lip service to me. And being a member of the board for AMO, I think is more effective by our FNUM representative representing all of our communities and getting the message across what the communities expect. So you can comment on it. It's not, I'm not being disrespectful or anything. I find we never hear from the ministers. We send resolutions out and whatnot. Very, very seldom do we ever get a response. And I can only recall in my 12 years on council, twice that, maybe 3 times that, a member of parliament has actually come and spoke to council. One was the deputy, minister of health in our rehab center. And Vic Favelli was here once or twice. But other than that, we don't hear a hell of a lot from them, other than the numerous emails that, quite frankly, I think if we want to be honest, a lot of people just hit the delete button.
Mayor White, would you like to respond?
Yes, thank you. No, and I do appreciate your comments, and I do appreciate that. So FONUM does, like FONUM presidents does have representation. It's separate from the directors of the different caucuses. That's separate. Separate involvement. So it's different. It's equal but different. And just to let you know, like AMO, what did we get from AMO in the last 4 years? AMO was the one that helped us when I advocated for exotic animals. You remember that motion was brought to this table. It was actually staff of AMO that helped us with that wording specifically, because I had advocated at the conference for Latchford. So it was a Latchford issue that, because we were the larger municipality and I have the larger voice, I was able to advocate, and it was AMO staff that brought it up. So that's one thing. Second is their advocacy. It's because of the advocacy of AMO and their board of directors that Bill 9 has just recently passed to make our code of conduct across Ontario. So right now, each municipality has separate codes of conduct and separate IC complaint investigation protocols. Because of the advocacy of AMO, now it's going to be across Ontario. So no matter what municipality a person lives in, they can expect the same kind of thing. So that's the reason I'm highly interested in policy. I think I make that very clear. And this is a way to make positives as well. When we take out Kirkland Lake specifically out of the equation, this is an opportunity for across Ontario to make good policy for better government. So that's my answer to that.
And thank you, Mayor White. Councillor Owen?
Yes, to you, acting mayor. I've been to 2 or 3 AMO conventions. Being on the board, okay, the one thing about AMO is they have direct access to the provincial government, okay? Yes, we get a lot of useless emails, and quite frankly, I don't read them, even though I go to the convention. But I'm glad somebody has a job to send them out to me. But having said that, they have the direct ear of the government. And if we have a member from Kirkland Lake on that board, we have more or less a chance of influencing what AMO is going to tell the government. We have a better chance of advocating for the North and specifically for Kirkland Lake. As you all know, I'm not a big policy guy, but Mayor White is. And I watched her at the animal conventions. I do my thing, which is a little less conventional perhaps than some other councillors. But I've watched the mayor lobby on behalf of Kirkland Lake, and she does an excellent job in that type of situation. That's why I think she would be very good on this board. Even though normally I would say, no, I don't want to spend money on somebody from here going on the board. But I think in this case, Mayor White would be excellent. It gives us more or less a direct link to the provincial government. And it certainly would raise their profile. When they saw Kirkland Lake at Queen's Park, they go, oh yeah, Stacy's on their board. We better answer this. Now that's my interpretation, but I believe it would be a good thing.
Councillor Shabbat?
Yeah, through you, acting mayor, I don't have any problems at all in you being part of AMO, if that's your wish. But I do have a couple of concerns. One of them in that I'm not really comfortable trying to vote for expenses that are unknown. So, I mean, we're trying to stay within budget. We tell the staff here to stay within the budget and all of that stuff. I don't know if this would be a 1,000, 2,000, whatnot. So we need to see those expenses. Maybe we can work it out so that if one goes in, something has to come out. I know we attend a lot of all these conventions and whatnot. I mean, I attended one, the Ontario Goodwill Association. I know these people that are really very persistent. They're all into a back room. Now you would kind of be on a board and all of that stuff. That's fine. People have time for it. I'm all for it, but I have problem with the expenses that are unknown. My second concern, acting mayor, is the fact that we have an election coming up. Okay, so I don't know. It shouldn't be a foregone conclusion. I hate to count my eggs before my chickens there. So it put us in a very difficult situation. It's a 2-year term. So is it something that could wait till after the election, or can wait till, or I don't know. You have to let us know. But I have those two concerns: expenses unknown, and then we're on the eve of having an election, and it could well be that everybody will be here the same. It could well be maybe some bit different, whatnot. I would certainly like to give the next council the opportunity to vote you in, because you're going to be spending more of their time than of their part of their term than our term that's sunsetting as I speak. So those are my concerns, and I want you to
Thank you, Councillor Shabbat. Did you want to respond to that, Mayor?
So definitely both those matters are valid. So it is a 2-year term. So this idea of a representative from the sitting council being elected prior to election happens once a term, because it's a 2-term turnaround. So it happens like every once a term, because it's a 2-year term, right? Does that make sense? So the nomination period ends Monday, June 22nd. So like in the cycle, yes, potentially a council is voting to put forth a nominee that may not be elected. So, and that's the problem. You have to choose with the people you have sitting before election without knowing that they will be in fact elected. So it's kind of a roll of the dice, whether I will actually be around to fulfill a role in AMO. So if you're not elected, you don't get the role. So that it ends there. So, yeah, absolutely. So that's one. As far as the expensive goes, we can kind of look at what each one of us has traveled for the municipality already. So we already know ourselves the cost of travel and the cost of hotel rooms. So it's not truly unknown because we know in general how much it costs, because we've all traveled for our municipality, and it specifically states it's the one time for the general meeting. So it would be travel to and from. The unknown portion of it is, as per the written notice, is this meeting is held in the home municipality of the sitting president or the secretary treasurer. So I don't know if I'll be traveling to Timmins for this meeting or Ottawa for this meeting or anywhere in the province. So that is a valid point, that the travel will be an unknown. And it will be to the meeting in June and from the meeting in June, and also the accommodation costs. So those are the two costs. You don't have to pay, so it's not like a conference. There won't be any additional cost in that way. It'll be a gas and accommodations. But those are valid points that I can't specifically answer, but I can give those answers.
Can I follow up, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Lee. Would you like follow up,
Yeah,
Councillor
okay.
Shava?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for the response. And the other thing that I want to speak to is what Councillor Owen already talked about, actually, Kylie. I know for sure we have another rep on the AMO board, I think Mark Wilson from Timiskaming Shore. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you know, when I asked in one of our interactions, and I don't really have an idea that things are really happening. Maybe I got it wrong, but I know, I mean, you're very different from it, but my problem is that we have a lot to do on this council and maybe next council. So again, maybe we should be asking ourselves this question once in a while. I know you put your name forward. Will you have time for all of these? I mean, I have to ask, you know, I mean, without due respect to you, Mayor, we voted you in to be on the Police Services Board and you're not there anymore. I mean, for your reason, but again, this is gonna take a lot of time. And how would that impact the business of the town of Kirk Lake that we're dealing with now and maybe the next mayor and all of that? So we gotta ask, what time is it gonna be there for us? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shava.
Yeah.
Mayor Way.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, and absolutely, so yes, so during the last 2-year term, it was, we were very well represented by Mr. Mark Wilson out of Timiskaming Shores, and I've personally had great conversations with him regarding AMO. I can tell you that at the time I put in this motion, he had not put in his nomination papers at that time. I did not check prior to this meeting. But the only other person that put their name forth, there is 2 positions for the Northern Caucus. To make you aware, I'm going for one of 2. So at the time it was Mr. Fred Moda out of Red Lake. So Mr. Wilson had not put his name forward for this 2-year term at the time that I had put in this motion for this council. And as far as my time available, I do acknowledge that I no longer sit on the OPP board that has not met in months and months and months. So it wasn't a matter of my lack of time for any specific board, because I sit on 17 committees and subcommittees right now as we speak as mayor. And I hope that this council can attest to my devotion to my position as mayor. Matter of fact, I have given up most of my full-time employment because of my commitment to this municipality. But I do appreciate your concern for my time management skills. I can attest that if I am successful in getting the position, Kirkland Lake will always be my priority. And this is why I am putting my nomination forward to make Kirkland Lake the priority at the provincial tables as well. So thank you for those questions.
Thank you, Mayor White. I have 3 or 4 questions just for clarity, because this is all new.
Oh, absolutely.
To all of us. So you're saying the nomination closes on Monday, June 22nd, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and now I know in the motion it says that there's you're looking for expense coverage, whatever, for one trip in June, wherever that may be. But how many meetings are there a year, like in person and virtually?
Yeah.
So there's one for sure in person.
So thank you for that question. So the board meets 6 times a year, typically on the 3rd or 4th Thursday and Friday of the months of September, November, January, March, and June, and on the Saturday and Sunday of preceding the AMO annual conference in August. Meetings are typically held at the AMO office in Toronto with the option to participate virtually. So that is why I say only one trip, because otherwise you can attend virtually. And again, as I noted prior, this June meeting is held in person in the home municipality of either the president or the secretary treasurer. So that's why I've only included one expense per year.
Okay, I may have misunderstood, but I did a quick read, and you don't really have to be on council, like, so if something happens, like, the town can still appoint whoever to serve on AMO. Is that, like, can you?
So thank you for that. So the eligibility is to run for a position on AMO Board of Directors. You must be an elected official or an employee of a member municipality in good standing. So if I'm the one that runs, Alan Smith or CAO cannot take my place. I'm the one that ran. I either do or do not get elected. It doesn't transfer to your municipality.
No. So you would be, okay, so, okay. Just, also, is there a stipend attached to this, that you know of? Just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did not find in the nomination papers any mention of a stipend. So this is something that I would be doing purely because I want Kirkland Lake's voice at the table. As far as I know, if anything ever does come, if
That's okay.
all the things being equal, if this council supports my nomination paper, if I am selected at AMO this year as director of the Northeastern Caucus, one of 2 positions, and then if I am reelected in October, then yes, I will definitely answer that question, because it is a valid question that I don't have.
Yeah, it was just for information. Any other questions from anyone? Are we ready? Do you want the motion read again, or are we ready to call for the vote?
Just on the safe side, could you please reread?
Be it resolved that the council for the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake nominates Stacey White, mayor, for the position of director on Northern Caucus of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO Board of Directors for the 2026 to 2028 term. And finally, that council endorses expenses related to travel for the June directors meeting be included in the yearly budgets from 2027 to 2030 if required.
And those in favor? Against? So it's 3-3, so it's defeated. Is it?
1, 2, 3.
Can we do that again? Are those in favor? Okay, 4. It passes. Thank you. My, that's not good.
I didn't see the always getting involved at all. But
Yeah, no.
I mean, I know it took me 2 hands to get it up there.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Deckens. I do appreciate you taking the chair. Item number 10, readings and considerations of bylaw 10.1, bylaw number 26-3032, moved by Councillor Owens, seconded by Counselor Shabba.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read a first and second time, bylaw number 2632 being a bylaw to deem lots 102 and 103 of registered plan M 124T not to be registered.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item, oh, sorry, that the following bylaw be read a third time, moved by Counselor Dykens and seconded by Counselor Kylie.
Be resolved that the following bylaw be read a third time and numbered, passed, signed, and sealed, bylaw number 2632.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. 10.2 bylaw number 26-033 moved by Counselor Owen, seconded by Counselor Owens.
Resolved that the following bylaw be read a first and second time, bylaw number 2633 being a bylaw to appoint Dan Laverdiere as interim chief administrative officer.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Third reading moved by Counselor Dykens, seconded by Pat Kiley.
Be resolved that the following bylaw be read a third time and numbered, passed, signed, and sealed, bylaw number 2633.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 10, bylaw 26-034 moved by Counselor Lad Shava, seconded by Counselor Casey Owens.
Resolved that the following bylaw be read a first and second time, bylaw number 2634 being a bylaw to establish and require payment of various fees and charges for the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Sorry. Item carried unanimous. Recommendation, third reading, moved by Counselor Owens, seconded by Counselor Kylie.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read a third time and numbered, passed, signed, and sealed, bylaw number 2634.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 11, notices of motion. Counselor Owen.
Yes, through you, your worship. At an upcoming meeting, I will be presenting a notice of motion concerning connecting link funding. Also, I will be presenting a second notice of motion concerning council seats.
Yep. Thank you.
Perhaps we better reword that. I thought,
Seating.
Here we go.
where councils sit at the councilors sit at the council's chamber.
Okay. Any further, any further notice of motion? Nothing noted. Item number 12, council reports and committees of council and regional board updates. Does any members of council have anything to share? Councillor Owens.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Erickson sat on the Board of Northeastern Public Health board meeting. And the mention of the budget, or no, I should say the budget was briefly mentioned. The budget is being worked on. We should have somewhat of a draft budget by next meeting sometime towards the end of June. And I wish I could say it was rosy and fun. Nothing, and I'll be candid, nothing about Northeastern Public Health Board is fun right now. And it scares me. As a municipality, we may have some tough decisions to make coming down the road, and hopefully I'm not being overly dramatic on this one, but I've sat on council long enough to know when the signs are not positive and the numbers that were presented are scary, and there's no commitment past 2027 from the province. And after that, what happened is free game. One thing they mentioned, and I'm gonna wait for the board to bring us the wording on how to word this, is we've got this as a district, or as Northern Ontario, we have these little tax havens outside our boundaries where people who like to, not being very blunt on this one, people like to profit from municipal services but not pay for said services. And public health is funded by municipal services at a 75-25 ratio. And residents that live in unincorporated areas don't pay for services by public health. And that's a loophole. What board members or Northern Boards of Health would like to see close, and it's not a reality for Southern Boards of Health. It's, West Southern Ontario don't have to deal with unincorporated areas. And they kind of chuckle at it when they find out about it at these meetings, and so something is coming down the pipe, and once that motion is written, I'll push it forward through council.
Thank you for that. Just on that note, I did receive today a report on providing services for, they call them fringe communities from municipalities from the Northern Policy Institute. I received that email
That's
today.
probably the political part, which way to say it, I like the word tax haven better.
Councillor Dykens.
Mayor, wait, I just want to ask a question to Councillor Owens about
Absolutely.
the health unit. Is there a CEO in place at this point? I remember the last we heard somebody resigned.
No, so we don't have we have a CEO, so we have, I'm not sure if her title that, no, I don't think. Well, we've got two things. So what we took, the position before was held by the medical officer of health and CEO. And we divided the position to an acting officer, medical officer of health, who is out of, I want to say the Belleville-ish area. And then the CAO or CO is our director of corporate services that's running the organization right now.
Randy,
Thank you.
or Randy,
No, Rosa.
who's that?
Thank you.
Councillor Shabba.
Yeah, we worship to members sitting on the, I know they have all this a lot of plans and whatnot, including a new building, head office in Timmins and all of that. That was the part of their plan and whatnot. So you guys don't have a budget as we speak, so how's that plan going? How's the rest of the plan going? Okay, I mean, can you comment on that? I'm really interested in the building per se.
All I can say to Madam Mayor is they're working on a plan. Other than that, we have not a lot of information on when, where, and what this building will look like.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering questions on that. Any further reports from members of council? Councillor Owen?
Yes, through your worship, you know, when you're retired, you don't pay attention to the day of the week, so I'm not quite sure what day of the week it was when I attended this event. I attended the event put on by Community Living Kirkland Lake at their building just over there. And during that event, they had hot dogs for the public, and they had a bake sale, and they had a plant sale, and it was well attended, and the residents were there, and some of the adult volunteers were there. And the retired employee said, "Vic, I want you to meet our new CEO." And I did meet him. I met his wife. Very nice people. And so we threw around some ideas about how the town and Kirkland Lake, the town and Community Living Kirkland Lake could work together. And I think it's for the benefit of both organizations. And so I was really glad that I did attend. I did buy a little plant so I can kill it later, but I mean, so it can grow to be big. And I know the mayor did thank our CAO, Alan Smith, at the start of the meeting, but personally, I would like to also do the same. I was on council when we had several different, mostly interim CAOs. I experienced what that was like, and it wasn't always pleasant. The results that we were hoping for weren't always there. And I just want to say that Alan walked into a beehive, and not a beehive of good activity, it was like, look out, you're gonna get stung if you open the door. And, you know, he had to take on the position of acting fire chief, as well as deal with a number of other internal, unstable situations. We had very few directors at that time. I would like to note that while I'm sorry to see Alan leave, that he's leaving us with all our directors pretty much in place, and most of them have been there for a relatively long term. The departments are running much smoother than he arrived here. And stability, as the mayor mentioned earlier, he brought us stability at a time when not just us as a council, but the community needed it as well. And I really appreciate that. I will finish by closing by saying that I really appreciated the fact that his door was always open to me. I can't speak for the other councillors, but I assume it was the same. And also that he took it's no secret that recently I've been going through some health issues, and that he took a personal interest in that, because that's what a good employer does. That's what a good boss does. You know, they take an interest in their individuals, and I wish you nothing but the best. Like I say, I wish you'd stayed longer, but I totally understand why you'd want to get away from me.
Councillor Shava.
Yeah, like I thank you, your worship, maybe I should carry on with that before I get to my point here, but Councillor Owen, I can tell you that his door has always been closed to us because we're open too many times to you. Thank you. There's no more room to open the direction. So anyways, I think when I came in midterm. And again, it was a very chaotic organization at the time. And we went through a lot of ups and downs. And we're very glad to have him come on board. I might say second time applying or whatnot, I was told. But again, we're working either we like it or not, even though we'll oppose once in a while or agree once in a while. We're a functioning council. And that's due to you as the foundation of us being a functioning council. And that's what I appreciate, because I'm a very, very busy person. So I like to get the facts, I like to get it straight and get going with it. And you make my job on council a lot easier when I can understand what's going on very quickly without have to hire a lawyer to explain to me what's going on. So, and thank you very much. And well, we'll miss you too, because you've done a lot of stuff. I won't go into that, but you're leaving a good team behind, a big shoe to fulfill. And the next council we'll see how things go with the next council, because I know you won't be here, but I will hope that it will build on the foundation, a solid foundation that you've put together for us. A tree can never make a forest, but again, thanks to your team that you assemble over your period of time too. They're part of your success. I just want to say that the views from the street this year has been very much positive in terms of staff dedication to spring cleaning. It's been absolutely fun. People are very, very happy. I know we had a lot of snow, we had a lot of salt and sand and whatnot. And believe me, those guys were working around the clock to clean those sands. So the team over there, thank you collectively, and pass that on to the people in your department. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? I want to start off my report to apologize to staff members and members of the public who have been caught in the unintended consequences of the new fire permit system. The rollout has been admittedly less than stellar, and I deeply appreciate the patience of both the members of staff who, as they try to navigate the new system, and especially the members of public. When the new cost was rolled out, it was never the intention of members at this table to cause undue stress or increase workload on anyone. I sincerely apologize to everyone involved, and it is my sincere wish that the issue be resolved in a timely manner, as administrators are already working to fix these issues. So thank you very much to staff. I know from sitting downstairs, it's been a burden on them, and it was never our consequences of our intent at this table to cause that for staff or members of the public. So we certainly apologize. On May 21st, Betty, the current owner of the Kirkland Lake Bingo Hall, presented a check for just over $2 million to the Kirkland Lake Area Bingo Association. This means donations were generated through their iBingo model, which directs proceeds to a roster of licensed local organizations. Among them were the Canadian Mental Health Association, the Royal Canadian Legion, Knights of Columbus, Friends of Trinity United Church, Assumption Pairs, King LaBelle Fire Department, and the Campaign to Save the LaSalle. The youth and recreation side includes Red Fox Air Cadets, Junior Curling, the Kirkland Lake Skating Club, the Aquatic Club Swim Team, the local Soccer Association, and Swamp Donkeys Mile of Gold Basketball. So that is incredible for the community. I met with Acting Sergeant Marcotte of the OPP this week and would like to relay that they will be welcoming a new community engagement officer very soon, working with schools and local organizations to increase public awareness. And as well, they will welcome a new drug enforcement officer this month, which was a welcome addition to our local force. Again, I noted earlier that the legislature passed Bill 9, the Municipal Accountability Act 2025. It provides the foundation for the much anticipated new ethical framework governing the behavior of elected municipal officials. This is a significant achievement for municipal governments and AMO. A new standardized code of conduct and integrity commissioner investigation process will be prescribed by the minister in regulation. AMO will respond to the regulation posting to ensure that new code of conduct upholds a high ethical standard and meets the diverse needs and capacity of members across the province. And I have signed up for the waitlist for AMO's post-election local leadership foundations course. And it's my hope that all successful candidates will take the opportunity as well to learn about the job we've asked for. Because as we do in our day-to-day careers, ongoing learning is vital to doing the job well. And for those who may be returning next term, having a refresh should always be welcomed to give you new perspectives, new insight, and possibly new inspirations. Finally, congratulations goes out to the mine rescue team for Agnico Eagle Macassa team in addition to securing first place overall. They also earned the MCQ award, recognizing their exceptional technical knowledge and performance on written assessment part of the competition. Of course, as the miner daughter, I'm always excited when we win. So thank you for that. Madam Clerk, can you read the motion and I'll get mover and seconder?
Be resolved that the verbal updates from members of council be received.
Moved by Councillor Shava, seconded by Councillor Kylie. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 13, proclamations and recognition, moved by Councillor Owens and Councillor Rick Owen.
Be resolved that council sanction the proclamation for Elder Abuse Awareness Day, June 15th, 2026 in the town of Kirkland.
Thank you. Whereas seniors deserve to live safely and with dignity, as independently as possible with supports they need. And whereas elder abuse is most often defined as any act that harms a senior or jeopardizes their health or welfare. And whereas older adults positively contribute to our community and should be made aware of their rights and their resources and the supports available to them. And whereas it is imperative that the community members recognize that elder abuse happens and to watch for signs of abuse such as physical signs of trauma, withdrawal, depression, anxiety, fear of specific family members, friends, or caregivers. And whereas the International Network for Prevention of Elder Abuse and the World Health Organization at the United Nations declared this day in 2006. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Stacy White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2026 as Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Be bold, age with attitude, and encourage all residents to recognize and to celebrate the accomplishments of our seniors. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 13.2, Indigenous Peoples' Day, moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Lad Chaba.
Resolved that council sanction the proclamation for Indigenous Peoples' Day, June 21st, 2026 in the town of Kirkland.
Thank you. Whereas on June 21st, Canada will celebrate Indigenous Peoples' Day, a day for all Canadians to acknowledge the unique heritage, diverse cultures, and outstanding contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. And whereas in cooperations with Indigenous organizations, the Government of Canada chose June 21st, the summer solstice, for National Aboriginal Day, now known as National Indigenous Peoples' Day. And whereas for generations, many Indigenous peoples and communities have celebrated their culture and heritage on or near this day due to the significance of the summer solstice as the longest day of the year, and whereas Kirkland Lake is home to a strong Indigenous community and would like to acknowledge their continued contributions. Now, therefore, I, Stacy White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim June 21st, 2026 as Indigenous Peoples' Day in the Town of Kirkland Lake. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item also carried unanimous. Item number 14, additional information and mayor's provincial policy matters. There are none this evening. I will declare a brief recess before moving into closed. Thank you. Oh, good, sorry. So we will now rise from recess to move into closed, moved by Councillor Dyken, seconded by Councillor Chaba.
Resolved that council adjourn in camera pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or with the board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, and a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or carried out by or on behalf of the municipality or local board at 7:07 p.m. for the following reasons. Item 15.1, request to purchase part of Langley adjacent to 9 Balsam Avenue. Item 15.2, request to purchase 11 and 15 Comfort Street, 13 Balsam Avenue, 18 McCandless Avenue, and 57, 61, and 65 Grant Street. Item 15.3, 2026 Civic Award recipient recommendations. And item 15.4, council appointment to the Kirkland Lake OPP Detachment Board.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. We will now reconvene from in camera, moved by Councillor Owens, seconded by Councillor Owen.
Resolved that council reconvene in open session at 7:37 p.m.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Any matters of pecuniary interest rising from in camera? None noted. Item number 16.1, remove land from surface land list. Moved by Councillor Lad Chaba, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens.
Be it resolved that lot 122 of plan M135T, parcel 6821 CST, 61 Brant Street, be removed from the surplus land listing.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 16.2, civic awards, moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Pat Kiley.
Be it resolved that council approve the 4 recommended recipients under the Town of Kirkland Lake Civic Awards program, and that council approve the presentation of a one-time and separate from Civic Awards Rising Hero Award to the recommended 4 individuals. And finally, that council direct the Chief Administrative Officer to coordinate the formal recognition of and presentation to the award recipients at the June 16, 2026 regular meeting of council.
All in favor? Opposed, none noted, item carried unanimous. Item number 17, notices of reconsideration. Any member at this table wish to have any item decided upon at tonight's council meeting be reconsidered? None noted. Item number 18, confirmation bylaw, moved by Councillor Dyken, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and numbered, passed, signed, and sealed. Bylaw number 2635, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. I do call this meeting adjourned, seconded by Councillor Dyken. Thank you very much, everyone. We do appreciate it.